Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. And we're going to talk about the filibuster and the Save America Act. And here's the thing you must understand about the Save America Act, okay? The Save America Act requiring government-issued photo ID to vote. And there's other things too, but that's the main thing. This is the most important piece of legislation passed. It will pass. It's got to pass. This is the most important piece of legislation involving voting in this country passed or up for a vote since 1920 when women got the vote. It really is. It's that dramatic. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, those things were important. No, don't misunderstand me. But the Save America Act is more important than the Voting Rights Act. The Save America Act is more important than the Civil Rights Acts. They really are when it comes to voting. And the reason I say it's the most important legislation in regards to voting since women got the vote in 1920, imagine that, 106 years ago, is because when women got the vote, it changed everything so far as voting. When government-issued photo ID is required to vote, that'll change everything too. So we're going to talk about that as the program goes on. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. So I'm going to go through some audio and some video as we talk about this and go over it. And I will get into the filibuster and everything as well. And if you're confused by the filibuster, don't worry, I'll explain it to you if you don't understand it. But if you're confused, don't feel bad. They want you to be confused by the filibuster. They really don't want you to know how the filibuster works, okay? That's the Senate's creepy power. Oh, look who it is here. We have the Secretary of Homeland Security. But Thune, this is Thune today talking about the Save America Act.
Mr. President, later today, we will finish up the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, the latest piece of legislation in Republicans' affordability agenda. And next week, I will be bringing the Save America Act to the floor, and we will be having a full and robust debate.
Good.
So, Mr. President, what is the Save America Act? It is a package of common sense policies, the kind of common sense policies that should get an automatic yes vote from literally every member of this body. At the core of the Save America Act is the requirement that individuals provide proof of citizenship to register to vote and then show an ID when they go to the polls. In other words, it would require Americans to demonstrate that they're eligible to vote and that they are who they say they are when they go.
Okay, now, a couple things there. How could you argue with that? You have to be a citizen. You have to prove you're a citizen before you register to vote. And also, you have to show ID to vote. Who could be against something like that? No reasonable person could, no doubt about it, right? I mean, it just is common sense. And when you hear Thune talk about it, Thune's being portrayed as a villain. We'll get into that. He sounds like he's behind the Save America Act, doesn't he? All right, let's get back to Thune here.
Go to do so. Not to keep using the word common sense, but it's pretty common sense, right? We require photo ID for a whole lot of things in this country.
That's right. Pretty much everything.
For obvious reasons. Getting on a plane, show your official government-issued photo ID. Go to the doctor, same thing. Provide your government-issued photo ID plus your insurance card.
Mm-hmm.
Get hired for a new job. Provide your government-issued photo ID when you start. Mr. President, public libraries ask for a photo ID. In New York City, you have to provide some type of photo ID to get a library card.
Oh, my goodness.
Baltimore, Maryland, same thing. Washington, D.C., again, photo ID. Mr. President, I'll stop with the list of libraries, but I think we can all agree that if you have to show photo ID and prove where you live to get a library card,
yeah,
it's not too much to ask voters to show ID to vote in federal elections.
Now, when you hear Thune here, does Thune sound like he's in favor of the Save America Act? I think he is. Now, I have a pretty good BS detector, but I haven't watched Thune speak for long periods of time, over a long enough period of time to read him exactly. But he sounds like he's behind this. He's making the argument, isn't he? Does he sound like he's behind it to you?
It takes about 10 seconds and protects the security of our elections. Mr. President, Americans overwhelmingly agree that voters should have to show ID at the polls. 83% of Americans, 83% in an August 2025 poll supported requiring photo ID at the polls for all voters. That includes 71% of Democrats, 76% of Black Americans, 77% of Asian Americans, and 82% of Hispanic Americans.
Now, stop there. I've talked a lot in the last couple of weeks about these polls. Overwhelming support among minorities, even, for the Save America Act, for photo ID to vote. That is a complete reversal of what it was not that many years ago. And I've had many a discussion on this podcast in past years where the polls were the opposite. Over 70% of the black community were opposed to it. Now they are. You know, President Trump coming down the escalator and waking people up to what the illegals are doing in our country at every level of our society, whether it's this or crime or like the Somali pirates in Minneapolis stealing all the money and all that, you know, the list goes on. People are fed up with it. They're fed up with these illegals that don't even have a right to be here, that are messing around in every aspect of our life, and they're fed up with it.
It kind of feels like the only Americans not to support voter ID requirements are Democrats here in Congress.
By the way, Democrats in Congress, the majority of Democrats in regular society, you know, people that you work alongside with or whatever, they're in favor of photo ID. It's just the creeps in Congress.
That's right. We're expecting continued full-throated opposition to voter ID and the Save America Act from Senate Democrats, as well as more of the unforgivable rhetoric that Democrats have already been engaging in. Mm-hmm. The Democrat leader has been calling this bill Jim Crow 2.0.
Please.
A phrase that is not only deeply irresponsible and insulting to those who actually lived through that dark chapter in our history, but also insults the overwhelming majority of Americans, including minorities, who look at voter ID and see nothing more than common sense. Mm-hmm. In fact, Mr. President, I can really see only two reasons for Democrats opposing this legislation. Either Democrats are just reflexively opposing this proposal because it originated from Republicans, or Democrats believe that there are, in fact, people out there voting illegally and that it's benefiting Democrats.
That's right.
And they want to keep it going. I honestly cannot think of another reason to oppose something so eminently reasonable as requiring people to demonstrate that they're eligible to vote and that they are who they say they are when they go to the polls. Now, Mr. President, I'll have a lot more to say about the Save America Act next week, including about two other common sense measures in the bill that would prevent biological males from competing in women's sports and protect minors from gender transition procedures. Two other things I should note that are supported by the American people. Mr. President, I can't guarantee an outcome on this legislation, but I can guarantee that we are going to put Democrats on the record. Mm-hmm. That they will be forced to defend their outrageous positions on these issues and explain to the American people why common sense and the Democratic Party have parted ways. Mr. President, Republicans are looking forward to this debate. And I look forward to saying much more about the Save America Act in the very near future.
Okay. Now, and I got to tell you, this is also probably the most important legislation going through the Senate in my lifetime, right? And most of your lifetimes too, because most of you are my age or younger, but some of you are older than me. This is absolutely amazing, and I'll tell you, I think right now we have to give Thune the benefit of the doubt, because this was today. He made the case. He seems like he's telling the truth. He laid out all the points. Now, before I get to more, though, I've got a lot of audio I want to go through, and we can listen to different people. But and if you're on hold, stand by. I'll get to some calls in a bit, too. But I want to talk about this filibuster because there's a lot of misunderstanding about the filibuster. And it is confusing. And the reason it's confusing is they want you to be confused by it, right? If you're confused by it, then they could say it's whatever it is. That's why when President Trump was running for the first time, they were talking about a brokered convention. Remember that? They didn't do that, but they were thinking about doing it. The Republicans, to stop Trump from getting the nomination. Remember that? And the reason they were doing that is because it has been so long since there was a brokered convention, nobody knew how a brokered convention worked. And they could say it works however they want it to work. And they decided not to do that. But that's the same thing with the filibuster. Now, the filibuster, there's this misconception going on being promoted by the media because they're in bed with the Democrats, okay? The Democrats, and by the way, if Thune shows that he's being a lying SOB, believe me, I'm going to call him out. But right now, we need him, so let's see what he does. The filibuster, when people have been misled thinking that you need 60 votes to pass this. That is not true. You only need 51 votes to pass this. The filibuster is separate from the legislation. I'm not going to claim to be some Senate rules expert, but there's some things we know about, you and I as outsiders. The filibuster is not a law, and it's not in the Constitution. It's a rule inside the Senate, and that means that they can either obey it or not obey it, and change it or not change it. It's not a law, okay? It's just a rule that they established in the Senate, so it really means nothing. But when people think of the filibuster, there's two things that they think about when it comes to the filibuster. Jimmy Stewart and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and I'm here to tell you, I've never seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I've seen the scene, a clip of the scene. I don't even think I've seen that whole scene. But that's the first, and I don't think most people have seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, even though everybody always references the movie. Or Strom Thurmond, who famously gave a 24-hour filibuster speech opposing the Voting Rights Act, all right? And that's been all over the news. And all the news stories, you know what the news stories leave out about Strom Thurmond opposing the civil rights, voting rights legislation in this filibuster? You know what they leave out? That Strom Thurmond was a Democrat when he did that. That's right. That was before the Dixiecrats and before he became a Republican. Strom Thurmond was a Democrat when he did that, okay? They're not telling you that in the news because they want you to think he was a Republican when he did that. He was reformed and realized the wrongs of his ways and became a Republican later on, but he was a Democrat when he did that filibuster. But anyway, back to this. And he was opposing Republican President Eisenhower's legislation. But he had to speak for 24 hours. And when they do this speaking for the way the filibuster works is they have to go up there and speak for 24 hours, and they can't leave. They can't even leave to go to the bathroom. They can't. They have to speak nonstop. They can't take pauses. During the filibuster, they're not even allowed to lean on something. So they've got their podium in front of them, their little desk. They're not even allowed to lean on it. They have to stand there. They can't take a bathroom break. They can't leave to eat. They can't stop talking. They have to continue talking for 24 hours. And Strom Thurmond did it. And what has happened since and over the years, maybe I'll watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, not tonight, maybe this weekend. Maybe. Do I really need to watch it? I don't know. Well, anyway, what's happened with the filibuster in recent years is different. The Senate has gotten really lazy. And in the past few years, I was doing a little research on this today, the filibuster has been used in the last few years since Obama was president and now more times than it was used in the rest of the history of the Senate combined. And you may be saying, well, I don't remember any Jimmy Stewart long speeches because they don't do that anymore. They've gotten really lazy and full of themselves in the Senate. The senators are by nature lazy, but they've gotten really lazy. Now they don't have to stand up there and make the speeches. They just have to threaten the filibuster. They say, well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Okay, you're going to do it? Okay, okay. And then they cower down. Well, that's a bunch of BS. So, and they don't even have debate. It takes 60 votes to end the filibuster, but only 51 votes to pass the legislation. So you don't need 60 votes to pass the Save America Act. You just need 51, but we got to get through this filibuster insanity first. So and I'm going to give Thune the benefit of the doubt until he disappoints us or President Trump calls him out again, okay, and is disappointed in him. Because President Trump demanded that Thune bring this up yesterday. He was with Caroline Leavitt before he left the White House on the way to that rally in Kentucky. And here today, this audio I just played for you was Thune today, and he's doing it. So what Thune is doing is he's going to start the debate on this next week. It is going to be the most covered debate in the Senate, maybe since color television, because the country is really behind this. And these Democrats are going to have to get up on TV. This is going to be covered live on CNN and Fox News and everything, Newsmax, everything, and live streaming on the internet. And the Democrats are going to have to get up here and tell you why government-issued photo ID should not be required in 2026 to vote. And they're going to look like a bunch of dummies. And a thing about the Save America Act is, you've heard the polls. I've gone over them many times. Thune just went over them. Not just the majority of the American people support it. Over 80% of the American people support it. Over 70% of blacks, over 80% of Hispanics, and over 80% of the population as a whole. The majority of Democrats support it. So the vast majority, over 80% of the American people want this passed, and they want it passed yesterday. So Thune is bringing these Democrats up next week to sound stupid like these troll callers I talk to, these Democrats that call me, while they've got the majority of the country pissed off at them because they're not doing the right thing. So I think we got to give Thune a break here until he disappoints us. That's just my opinion, all right? All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631.
It's a 90% issue, and
right.
The Democrats are lying. They're acting like
this is Newsmax.
Women, rural Americans, black and brown people cannot get proof of citizenship or show an ID. It's ridiculous. They are lying because they need these votes. They need the illegals that they brought over the border for the 4 years under Joe Biden to stay in power. That's what this is about. And we have to pressure the senators. This has to be done. I 100% support putting it on the floor, having a talking filibuster, putting people on record. The country that we are going to leave, our children and grandchildren, depends on this being done, and make them show where they are. Make the Democrats vote yes or no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right. Make them vote yes or no. After they go on television and spend the week telling the American people live on television why it's a bad idea to require proof of citizenship and ID to vote. Come on. Come on. You can't get on a darn airplane without ID. Right? So, yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited. And I feel very confident right now about its passing. Now, anything can happen. Now, Dollar Store Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, and a bunch of other idiots like that, the Palestinian Senator Chuck Schumer, and the rest, they keep using this Jim Crow 2.0. Now, what the Democrats did during Jim Crow was they disenfranchised black voters. Black voters, prior to the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, had the right to vote. Black men had the right to vote as soon as they were freed at the end of the Civil War. Black women couldn't vote. You think about that. Black men could vote before white women, decades before. But they already had the right to vote, blacks, when those laws were passed. But the Democrats were disenfranchising them by coming up with all these ridiculous rules. They'd ask them quizzes, do citizenship quizzes. And it didn't matter if they got the answers right or wrong. They would always say they were wrong and they wouldn't be able to vote. Or there were some instances where they would show a jar filled with jelly beans and you'd have to guess the number of jelly beans in the jars, all these crazy stories. And even if you were right, they'd say you were wrong. And Dollar Store Obama, doesn't he look like he's green on television? When you see him on TV, doesn't Hakeem Jeffries look green? He's very hard to look at on television. Plus the inner ugliness that he utters when he talks with these ridiculous positions and opinions that he gives. But the Democrats right now are disenfranchising all Americans by not requiring proof of citizenship or ID. And you know what? Everybody knows it. All right, let's take some calls. If you're the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcast. If you want to catch the show live in video form where you hear me take calls, that's on YouTube. Just search Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Ethan from Alabama.
Zeke in Alabama. What's on your mind, Zeke?
Ethan.
Ethan. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize. Ethan.
That's all right. I didn't pronounce it right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Hey, the polls.
He disconnected himself. All right, whatever. I was hanging on the edge of what he was going to say. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is RJ. I'm calling from Chicago.
RJ in Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not an economist, but I know that there's rising unemployment, GDP growth has slowed down, consumer spending's been falling, consumer confidence seems to be lower, there's business slowdowns, there's an inverted yield curve, which is a strong indicator of a coming recession. The housing market sucks, and consumer debt is going up. But Dumbbell Donnie keeps saying that.
Excuse me, who?
Dumbass Donnie.
I don't know who that is.
Is it time for the 25th
Who is that?
Amendment?
Who is that? Who would that be? I'm not familiar with that. What's
Trump.
the name?
Is it time for the 25th Amendment for Donald Trump?
Well, as far as you calling me from Chicago, you're worried about unemployment and all that. I'm an hour ahead of you. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Florida. So where you're on Central Time, so it's 2:53 in the afternoon. What are you on the phone with me instead of working? You're calling me complaining. There's no work. There's no this. There's no that. You're burning time in the day playing around calling me.
Yeah,
I'm working right now.
It out. I'm some loser in mommy's basement.
That's correct. Yes, that's on that point. Thank you for your call on that point of agreement. Yes, you are a loser in mommy's basement. Correct. Oh, my goodness. I love all these people that are worried about jobs, that don't want jobs, that are hanging around in the middle of the day, calling me, there's no jobs. Yeah, that's what you tell mommy and daddy so you can stay in the basement and game all day. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Jesus. I'm calling from Florida.
Jesus in Florida. What say you?
What state? I said I'm in Florida.
I said, okay, what's on your mind, Jesus?
Oh, no, I just want to know what you think about the war in Iran.
I think it's about time that we remove these lunatics that are behind 99% of the terrorism of the world.
But why? I thought we should stop being the world police.
We're not being the world's police, but the Iranians have been trying to kill the president of the United States for years, among other things they've been doing. So they've committed acts of war against us. So when they attack us and try to kill our presidents, we have to go after them.
We killed their leaders all the time.
No, we killed their leaders because they were trying to kill President Trump multiple times. Twice during the campaign, he said.
Who said that?
President Trump.
So just because he says it, it's true.
Yes. Everything President Trump says is true, Jesus. Yes.
Are you serious right now?
As a heart attack. As a heart attack.
Wow. So that's very delusional. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah, something's wrong with you. You literally need to.
What kind? You're in Florida. What part? I'm in. You say you're from Florida. I'm in. You told me. No, excuse me. You told me you're in Florida. I'm in Florida. Your accent doesn't sound like a Florida accent. What kind of accent do you have?
I'm from New York originally.
Oh, okay. So you're a transplant to Florida. How long you lived in Florida?
15 years.
15 years. You know, being a Democrat, why would you leave the Democrat paradise of New York
I'm a Democrat.
and
come
to the Republican paradise of Florida?
I am not a Democrat. I believe they all belong in prison because they all crooks. They're all on the same
Okay, so
team.
you don't participate. You don't vote.
I vote. I voted for Trump.
You voted for Trump.
He said we're going to care about America first.
This is America first. This is not a new war, Jesus. This is an old war.
Diesel is
when another country tries to kill our president, we have to respond. We don't say, "Well, no new wars," and let them try to kill our president. Get off the phone, stupid. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If you're on hold, stand by. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. The Brian Craig Show is available wherever you get podcasts, whatever podcast platform you use, I'm there. If you want to catch the show live in video format, and when I'm taking the live calls and participate, that's on YouTube, all right? Just search for The Brian Craig Show on YouTube. We'll take a quick break and be back with more after this.
Looking for a podcast that's real, honest, and full of heart? Then add Inside Our Minds to your podcast playlist right now. Inside Our Minds is a podcast hosted by Robbie and Ashama that gives you a chance to hear life from their perspective. Both Robbie and Ashama live with disabilities, but this show isn't about labels. It's about stories, dreams, relationships, and the way they see the world. From conversations about love and dream dates to honest questions about life and the future. Every episode of Inside Our Minds brings authentic moments and meaningful laughs. So if you want a podcast that's genuine, inspiring, and sometimes hilarious, listen to Inside Our Minds right now on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast. Have you ever wondered what salvation truly means and what it actually gives you? Author Jason Pullen invites you on a 40-day spiritual journey that reveals the incredible gift believers already possess in his book, 40 Days on Salvation. Discover and unlock what you already have through salvation in Jesus Christ. Available on Amazon. Salvation is more than a moment. It's a master key, a key that unlocks wisdom, peace, purpose, and the life God intended for you. Whether you're newly born again, searching for truth, or a mature believer wanting deeper understanding, 40 Days on Salvation breaks down the meaning of salvation in a clear, simple, and powerful way. Each day reveals a new insight, along with prayers, confessions, and declarations designed to strengthen your faith and help you experience the fullness of life in Christ. 40 Days on Salvation from author Jason Pullen is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. Order your copy right now and start your 40-day journey. Have you been looking for a smarter way to save money and make money with the things you already own? You can do just that with Rentology, the marketplace where neighbors rent, lend, and share everyday items. Think about all the things you buy, but you rarely use. A bike for that sunny weekend, camping gear for that one trip a year, a power washer that sits in the garage and never gets used. With Rentology, you can simply rent what you need when you need it and save money without adding more clutter to your home. And if you've got gear sitting around collecting dust, why not turn it into extra income? With Rentology, you can list your items, connect with people in your community, and start earning from the things you already own. It's simple to use too. Just go to the website rentology.com. That's RENTOLOGIE. Browse items near you, book online, meet locally, and share the experience. Rentology helps you save money, earn extra income, reduce waste, and connect with people who share your interest. Rent, lend, share, do more with less. Sign up right now. It's free at rentology.com. RENTOLOGIE. That's rentology.com.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show. I'll go back to the phones. You know, I don't have a lot of rules when it comes to your participation, but there is one rule that is strictly enforced. One call per show. You can call me every day, but only once per show, all right? For those that are new. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike. How you doing?
You know, my problem with Thune had a lot to do with the fact that he was Mr. Freeze's chosen successor. And when I say Mr. Freeze, I mean Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, listen, he's in the spot right now. You know, if he blows this, he's done. And, you know, I was telling a caller on the show, on the morning show today, remember when Donald Trump got Kevin McCarthy removed as Speaker of the House and replaced with Mike Johnson? When President Trump did that, he wasn't even president. Remember? He wasn't even president, and he got the Speaker of the House removed and replaced with MAGA Mike Johnson. So if Thune screws this up, Trump's the president now. He's out. Rick Scott will become the majority leader or something.
Right, and that would be a good thing. Florida guys, Center for MAGA, but that's the thing. You know, we got these guys that are obviously he is your typical what do you want to call
Swamp
it?
Preacher.
Never Trumper type guy is Thune at times. But
see, what we have on our side, we don't just have public opinion on our side. We have almost 90% of the public on our side, and people are very vocal about it, and it's very high profile. So it's not going to be so easy for these rhinos to pull stunts and be cute here. You understand what I mean? You know, you got to keep in mind, the entire House of Representatives is up for re-election, and 1/3 of the Senate is up. And the majority of even the Democrats are in favor of this bill. So we got a lot in our favor.
And look, if he doesn't get it done, and like you said, if he doesn't get it done, or if he can't get it done, we'll find somebody, probably Rick Scott, that can get it done.
That's right. All right, Mike, I appreciate the call. Absolutely. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? Joshua.
Hey, Joshua.
I couldn't hear you, so I don't really know what we're talking about or the discussion, but I would like to entertain it. What are we discussing today?
Well, if you were to listen and watch the show, you would know. I'm not going to sit here and pitch stories to you, hoping you'll be interested. Well, that's ridiculous.
The sound's not coming through. The sound's not coming through.
Well, then turn up your volume.
My point? Okay. What are we discussing? Politics, current events?
I'm not discussing anything. I'm not discussing anything with you because you don't know what's going on. Watch and listen to the show, and when you hear me say something that you want to comment on, then call back. I'm not here to pitch stories to you.
That's what I was doing. I was trying to listen to your show.
All right. Well, go back and try to listen. All right. You're a better listener than you are a caller, I hope. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh my goodness.
Hey, do you remember when Trump said, if you're a star, you can grab women by the pussy?
He never said that.
Oh, he didn't?
Nope.
It was a fake recording. It was AI, right?
No, in the recording, he didn't even say that.
Can you be any bigger of a retard?
I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. But if you think it's so bad to say that, why are you saying it? If it's bad for Trump to say it in private on the Access Hollywood bus when he didn't know he was being recorded, why are you knowingly saying it to me publicly?
Because I'm quoting Donald.
No. You were calling him out as some type of moral failure for saying what you just said publicly. He was talking in private. Now you want to say it again? So what are you trying to say here? You don't think there's anything wrong with saying that because you've said it once and you're about to say it again? Think about yourself. Don't you feel stupid?
I'm not a star, so I don't know.
Oh, you certainly are not a star. That's for sure.
Remember when Trump?
You want to say it again? Is it either wrong or right to say it? If somebody says that, what does that say about them, in your opinion?
Remember when?
No. We're not moving on. We're talking about Access Hollywood. You are claiming that there's something inappropriate about Trump saying that, then why did you say it if it's inappropriate and cancels a man out for saying it? You didn't think that far ahead, did you? Goodbye. Oh, my goodness. You know what I think's going on here? I think there's a therapist who has a therapy practice specializing in treating those with Trump derangement syndrome, and they're giving out my number to patients trying to help them in their recovery from Trump derangement syndrome because I'm getting a bunch of Trump derangement syndromes. That last guy, he never considered that, right? What I said to him, he's like, what? I cannot compute. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. This is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean.
Wow, what colorful callers you have today. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
wow.
Boy. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Except for Mike. Wow. Well, I think John Thune. Yeah, that's mind-blowing. That's just unbelievable.
I'm telling you.
What is wrong? It's hard you can't comprehend these minds. It's unbelievable. If they even have minds.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Well, John Thune, I think, will have to do this. He realizes the weight of the situation. Donald Trump knows how to play the game better than anybody. He knows what to do. And even if he can do what he could do when not being president.
Sean, here's what we've got. Okay, we have about 90% of the American people support the passage of the Save America Act. And over 80% of Democrats support it, over 70% of blacks, and over 80% of Hispanics. It is very high profile. The majority of the people want it big time. We're in an election year. The entire House of Representatives is up for re-election. 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election. President Trump, so there's pressure on both parties to pass this thing if they want to get reelected. Also, President Trump said he will not sign any legislation until this is passed. And he didn't say no legislation this month. He means forever. So these members of Congress get elected by having campaign money given to them by donors. They pay their donors back when legislation's passed in earmarks. They can't pay back their donors if they don't get legislation passed. The donors aren't going to give them money if they can't get legislation passed to pay them back. So they're screwed between the public opinion and that. It's going to pass. It's not going to pass easily. It's not going to pass tomorrow or maybe next week, but it's going to pass.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's going to hit him right where it hurts, right in the purse, and that's exactly. He sees it. He sees it straight ahead. What he needs to do. They think this is not. Trump is not a typical Paul. He's way beyond this. He is something we've never seen before, and they just cannot know how to deal with this. What are the Democrats going to do? Get up there to convince the people what that black people and Hispanics don't know how to get ID, and that they just can't help themselves because they're going to look. They already know that's not going to work.
Or women, when they get married, can't get ID with their married name on it, and they won't be able to vote. Give me a break.
Yeah. They're using those tactics. They think now that could have worked in the past for them, but this is a different time because this guy, this is different. Everybody knows we're wise to these tactics because Trump's opened up the eyes of many people. Well, a lot of people have been, you've been up open to a long time. Eyes have been open, and a lot of people now are really open that were never before because of what he's done and how he's approaching this. Because he's not approaching this like any typical politician would.
Exactly.
I mean, this is Donald Trump we're talking about here. This is a deal maker. This is the man that's built empires, the greatest president of all time. Not just of our lifetime.
And it's called the Save America Act because it's actually saving this country. We've been overrun and colonized by illegals that are messing up every part of our society. We need proof of citizenship to register to vote and government-issued photo ID to vote.
Yeah, and we want to know what's so hard about that because you need it for everything else. They know to get to their conventions. You need to get the snow to show.
I'm going on our 10th annual MAGA cruise is like in 2 weeks, right? Less than 2. I got my passport. I can't go without my passport. Why do I need government issued photo ID to take a cruise? But I can go and vote. I don't. Come on. Without it, give me a break.
How are they going to defend this? How
they're not.
Are they going to look?
That's why Thune making the Democrats come. See, the Democrats didn't want to have to debate it on television. They wanted just to threaten. What they were trying to do was threaten this filibuster, and there'd be no public debate. So Thune is making them come public on television in the Senate and make their case. And public opinion is against them now. Wait until they do that. They're going to be in big trouble.
And I really think that maybe Trump. I think he did something with Thune. I mean, he might have said something. He must have really pressed it into him because you know what? I mean, because he gets to realize that if this doesn't go right for him, he's finished.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
One way or the other, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's it.
All right, I got to run. So, I appreciate the call, Sean.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, it's the Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian. We'll be right back.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one. And I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. You're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com. Do you remember those books you loved as a child? The ones that made you smile every time you opened them? Author Paul F. Busutto Jr. brings kids a colorful, joyful story about Leonardo, a friendly pizza maker whose kindness and laughter follow him everywhere he goes, and That Pizza Guy, available on Amazon. Filled with bright illustrations, playful characters, and a heartwarming message about friendship and sharing, That Pizza Guy is a children's book parents love to read at bedtime, and kids ask for again and again. And teachers, That Pizza Guy also makes a great addition to your classroom reading collection. It's a sweet, timeless story, perfect for families, classrooms, and anyone looking for a gift that will be remembered for years. Order your copy right now on Amazon, That Pizza Guy, from author Paul F. Busutto Jr. in Kindle and paperback. Share a smile, share a story, and bring home That Pizza Guy on Amazon.
On the line, we have Steve. He is a listener and client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He took my advice. He went to see Joe Thomas, took advantage of that no-charge consultation. Steve, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities.
Matter of fact, 3 years ago to the day, my mom passed away. And it's when I found out that my mom and dad left me, my brother and sister, a nice inheritance. And when I heard the advertisements on your show, I said this would be a great investment because I retired 25 years ago, 2001. And I got a good pension. I'm a retired police officer. But 25 years later, that pension does not buy anywhere near what it bought 25 years ago. I heard about Joe and how I could increase my income with these annuities. It battled the inflation because my pension was just not buying and taking care of me as it did 25 years ago. And Joe and his family, his daughters and his son, they were so nice and accommodating, and they asked me what my goal was, and my goal was specifically to get a monthly mailbox money checks from these annuities. And the second thing was to leave a nice inheritance for my kids like my parents did for me. And he was great. I can't say enough about him.
You did something with your inheritance so few people do. Most people get that inheritance. They buy a new car, they buy a new house. You got it in annuities, and now you've got that guaranteed income each and every month for the rest of your life.
You got that right, and I'm telling you, it's a godsend. I can't thank Joe and his family enough.
Well, listen, give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. Take advantage of that no-charge consultation, just like Steve did. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, we're back. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian. The Brian Craig Show is available wherever you get podcasts. If you want to catch the show live in video format, where you hear me taking the live calls, that's on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search The Brian Craig Show. Subscribe there, and you can catch the show live in video form and call in if you'd like. All right? And if you'd like to call in and you're watching live on YouTube, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hey, this is Jerry. I'm calling from Florida.
Jerry in Florida. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I heard that guy call earlier before about the economy. I mean, the economy's doing just fine. You know that, Brian. I mean, what do you make there with that radio show? Do you make above $20K annually?
Why would I tell? Why would I? By the way, it's one call per show.
This is my first call.
Oh, okay. You're not the guy from Chicago?
It's my third call, but you have no
exactly.
listeners.
No, I could stop you from calling. I could stop you from calling if I wanted. Do you want me to?
You blocked my other
Do you want me to? Do you want me to? Do you want me to stop you from calling? Because I will. The guy complaining that he has no job. There's no jobs out there, but he's calling me once, twice, 3 times. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, okay, appreciate it. All right, let me get back to some audio. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. Oh, my goodness. I have no listeners. I got you. Okay, but maybe don't count. Maybe you're a 0. I don't know. Oh, boy. Trump derangement syndrome, man. That's it. All right, this is Josh Hawley. Listen.
On the Save America Act, what's your message to Americans who are incredibly frustrated with the pace at which this is moving? I mean, it's virtually not getting done.
Yeah.
And now Thune is talking about not even implementing the talking filibuster the way it was intended to work.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can change this trajectory?
I think it's not moving. I mean, that's the problem. It's completely stuck. And for those who say, oh, this is wild, this is extreme, no, it's not. This is what we do in my home state of Missouri. We have voter ID. We have had for years. We have citizenship requirements. We have had for years. So this is not nuts. This is what most states do. It's just a few states who don't want to do it because they want illegals voting. I think the Senate should pass it. And I think, as I said a second ago, if Democrats want to stall this and don't want to vote on it, they should have to go hold the floor like it used to be in the old days. They can go and talk as much as they want, but sooner or later, they're going to run out of time, and then we would vote. And that's what I think we need to do.
But it seems like Thune specifically is, reluctant to move forward with implementing the talking filibuster.
Yeah, I'll let him speak to that. I mean, I would just say that my view is that this is extremely important, and it's just a myth that to make people actually go and defend their position on the floor is somehow a great break with Senate tradition. That's not true. This is how the filibuster's always been implemented. You want to stall something, you can go to the floor. Ted Cruz once read children's books on the floor, for heaven's sake. I mean, so that's how, you can ask him about it. So that is how it's traditionally done. And
okay, so and maybe I'm wrong for hey, listen, I'm open to the idea that I'm wrong about this, but I kind of like what Thune is doing here. What Thune is, and again, he may come out and end up showing that he can't be trusted and all of that, and then if he does, I'll change my tune. But I kind of like this idea that we have going on right now of having the Democrats come out this Save America Act. I don't, these people in Washington, they are in such a bubble. They don't see beyond their own circle. They're not seeing beyond their Senate cloakroom or their cocktail party or their donor meeting that they're having in private somewhere, in some private dining room, in some fancy D.C. restaurant. And maybe they don't understand that about 90% of the American people want this passed. But Thune's idea, I like that right now. Watching these Democrats on national television live next week go out there and tell us why government-issued photo ID to vote is wrong. They're going to destroy themselves. And you know why? There's not a single argument to support it. You know, I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks on the program. How many liberals have you heard me talk to today on this episode and on the morning show today alone? How many Democrats have I talked to between the morning show and this show today? Quite a bit. Have any of them addressed the Save America Act? No. Every single liberal that I've had call me for the last 2 weeks since we've been debating this topic has wanted to talk about everything but. Right? Why do you think that is? Because even someone insane with Trump derangement syndrome cannot even begin to make a case that government-issued voter ID to vote is wrong. All right, this is Scott Presler on Fox News talking about the Save America Act.
I want to clear up any confusion. The Save America Act would employ the SAVE system, which stands for the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements. Let me be clear. No registered voter that is currently registered to vote, Martha, will have to re-register to vote. What will happen under the SAVE system is any lawful legal voter will have their American Social Security number go through the SAVE system. And so long as they are lawful, so long as they are a legal American citizen, they will be able to stay on the voter rolls. And so when Senator Chuck Schumer...
See, now hear that? Now see, Scott, I love Scott Presler. Yeah. I've known Scott Presler before he was famous. And I remember Scott Presler, he was supporting Trump in the first campaign, and he used to live stream online from a Starbucks. And he had he had some remote job, and on the back of his laptop he had a bumper sticker that said "Gays for Trump," and he sat there for like a year and a half every single day, with that. And he's done so much great work. But what he just added here to the conversation, this is amazing. Okay, so when the Save America Act is passed, everyone has a Social Security number. They're going to run the Social Security numbers through the voter rolls, and if there's a name with no Social Security number, boom, it's out. It's out. But if there is a Social Security number attached to it, it's still in. That's amazing. That's a good thing, isn't it?
Schumer says that tens of millions of Americans will be removed from the voter rolls. Did he say the quiet part out loud? Did he allude to the fact that perhaps tens of millions of non-citizens are on the voter rolls? Anyone that is only for Americans being registered to vote cannot be against the Save America Act. And so we are going full steam ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Scott. Isn't Scott Presler awesome? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No one's being disenfranchised except illegals. Now, illegals, they're not going to be able to vote. Here is Senator Tim Scott.
I think the talking filibuster would actually improve comity in our chamber and require us to be present. That might pull some Democrats off the sidelines and get them to vote for this bill. Because at the end of the day, this is about voter integrity, and every demographic in the country, Joe, supports it. Why?
Now, I know that the talking filibuster is where they have to stand up there like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, okay? And it may get to that. But the way that here's the thing, the talking standing filibuster, all right? While there are a lot of rules with it, right? You can't leave to go to the bathroom. You can't stop talking. You can't lean on a chair. You can't lean on a desk. You can't lean on a podium. You got to stand straight up. You can't stop talking. But you can talk about whatever you want. That's why Ted Cruz read Dr. Seuss. People have read out of the phone book. You could read a cookbook. You could read anything. Okay? And they'll go on and on and on and on, and it might be funny for a while and all of that. And it may get to that. But I think it's better to start with what Thune's doing and having them go on and on about why it's a bad idea to require voter ID to vote, because that's when they're going to be completely exposed. Now, this is Stephen Smith's wife, okay, on Fox talking about it.
President Trump has made very crystal clear in his messaging.
Stephen Miller. I said Stephen Smith. No, this is Stephen Smith's wife. This is Stephen Miller's wife. She has a podcast, and she's really good. I've seen her a couple times, Stephen Miller's wife. She's on CNN cleaning the clock. She's really good. And Stephen Miller and his wife are, two of the people from the Trump administration that have to live on a military base because the Democrats are threatening them.
President Trump has made very crystal clear in his messaging, Sean, that if you don't have sanctity and security in our elections, you don't have a country. And in a country with over 50 million foreigners, the idea that anyone can vote anonymously by mail is frankly insane. Yeah, what President Trump is asking Republicans to do is fight as hard for voter security as he fought against Democrat witch hunts and to win back the White House. President Trump is simply asking Republicans to stand up and do the right thing and to take the leap and, God forbid, work nights and weekends, Sean. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. And, you can see the momentum. We don't just have about 90% of the American people on our side, over 70% of blacks, over 80% of Hispanics, over 80% of Democrats as a whole, and about 90% of the whole country on our side. We've got momentum on our side. Momentum. And you can see, you go through the news, and we have it all. I mean, look at this. This is CNN. Listen to this. Here's CNN. I played that last clip was from Fox. Earlier, I had one from Newsmax. I had another one from Lindell TV. This is CNN.
What are you afraid of? What are Democrats afraid of? I'm not a lawmaker voting on it. I think the question is, but you're making the argument. You're making their argument, which is your job. But again, 70% of Democrats, 80% of Americans want voter ID. And if they want to debate some of these other issues about absentee ballots, about proof of citizenship, let's debate it. But have you heard one Democrat senator say, I want voter ID, that I want to make sure that our elections have integrity, that it's so important? Instead, they just throw up their hands at everything. So why don't they come to the table, come across the table, across the aisle, and let's make our elections have more integrity?
Yeah, a couple of things about this, and this is really some important stuff, okay? The Democrats, the Democrats have been losers for years, and President Trump has been a winner since he came down the escalator. And the reason that President Trump has been a winner is there's many reasons, but one of the reasons he's been a winner since he came down the escalator is he feels the pulse of the American people. He knows when it's time to pounce, and he knows how to get public opinion on his side. We have the perfect storm. We've got the majority of the people. We've got momentum. We've got groups supporting President Trump that would never support any Republican, especially him, on this. Now's the time. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello. I'm Heinrich. I'm calling from Berlin, Germany.
You're calling from Berlin, Germany?
Yes.
What time is it in Berlin?
It's around like I would say very late.
What time is it? No, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? You don't know? Get off the phone. Doesn't even know what time it is. Oh my goodness. Has he ever seen Stalag 17?